is 8:30. That means it's time for our high beam this morning, which is our Talk with the Doc, as Dr. Timothy McKnight is here. And this morning's Talk with the Doc is being brought to you by Mako's Pharmacy at 240 East 3rd Street in downtown New Yorksville. Mako's Pharmacy is your local pharmacy with a caring and knowledgeable staff focused on your health and wellness. And, of course, Dr. McKnight is here, so I think I'll let him speak. Good morning. It's good to see you, as always.
Yeah, same to you.
Glad to have you in here this morning. And today we're going to ask you about our immune systems. Now, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we have mentioned many times, or at least I've heard it, that people with compromised immune systems could be more susceptible to catching this illness. That could be true with almost any illness, couldn't it?
Absolutely, yes. So, but obviously this COVID pandemic is on people's minds, and we're all talking about our immune system, and the people that feel like they might have a compromised immune system, they're a little bit more concerned. Mm-hmm. But, the immune system it's an amazing system that's designed to protect us, not only from germs, but from any type of injury. I was doing some research the other day, and we have two types of immunity. We have danger-associated molecular patterns, which are things like chemicals and physical insults, like a sunburn or a cancer. Those would be molecules the body says, that's a problem, let's fix it. So our immune system is actually capable of detecting early cancer cells and destroying them. And then we have the pathogen-associated molecular patterns, where the body sees molecules that looks like a streptococcal bacteria or a fungal organism or a parasite, and says, that doesn't look familiar, that doesn't belong here. And then it goes into a response to try to destroy it. So we're really protecting ourselves with these two ways to detect problems. Mm-hmm. But then we have barriers. So our skin is a great barrier for protecting us against organisms that try to invade the system. And actually the skin is lined, in the different layers of the skin, it's lined with molecules that kill bacteria. So if you get a little scratch or a cut, often those bacteria or those immune modulating or immune agents kill the bacteria so they can't penetrate. Now, every now and then a scrape becomes infected because it does penetrate it. But the idea is the skin is a barrier. The biggest barrier, though, is your intestinal tract. Because if you think about what we put in our bodies, most of the time it's food, but sometimes we're swallowing things that are harmful to us, pesticides, and we get germs in our mouth and all types of other things that might be on our food. And the intestinal tract, actually, the surface area of the intestinal tract would cover the 2 tennis courts.
That's amazing.
So you think of your skin covers maybe a 4x4, 3x3 surface area, but the intestinal tract is 2 tennis courts. So where would your body want to put the biggest percentage of the immune system? It should line the intestinal tract, and it does. So that is critical. And when we talk about nutrition and good foods and bad foods, you got to think, what does bad food do to our immune system? And there's a condition called leaky gut that we've talked about before, where when the intestinal tract gets injured, little small molecules can leak into the blood system through holes in the intestinal tract and cause immune responses, and we can get allergies, and we can get inflammatory conditions, autoimmune conditions. So these are just some examples of how the body can be compromised when these barriers are affected. But in general, most of us don't have to worry about our immune system because it's functioning at a high level. But there are times that sometimes the immune system normally it gets activated and it kills off these bacteria and germs. Sometimes that immune system, something sneaks through and it's not activated, and then we have pneumonia or we have a urinary infection. But then there's the other part of the immune system that sometimes it's activated against things that really aren't a threat. So you breathe in some pollen molecules, and there's little proteins on pollen, and the body says, I don't know what that is, I don't like that, and boom, you get this immune response, and now you're congested and you're sneezing, your eyes are watering, and that's an allergic type of condition. So there's all types of responses, but normally the immune system responds very well to the things that threaten us. But again, it's not perfect, right? So we have to think, okay, so what can we do to protect ourselves, right? And I think that's probably the question that people have.
Yeah, how do I not become susceptible?
Right, and so you think about, well, How do you protect yourself? How do you protect your skin? Well, you
Mm-hmm.
wash your hands frequently. That's something that we all know about, right? Number one. Um, how do you protect your gut? Well, put good food into it. So, we always hear eat healthy foods, eat fruits and vegetables and healthy foods. We get kind of tired of that message, but you can't overemphasize that. And then there are things that make our immune system work extra hard that can kind of wear it out or stress it. So things like smoking, things like too much alcohol, a lack of sleep. Our body heals when we're sleeping, and if we're sleep deprived, we don't really get the chance to regenerate and heal. Stress, chronic stress. Boy, the chronic stress causes inflammation overload, and that's how some of these infections and conditions can sneak into our bodies when we're just overinflamed. And of course, the wrong foods can do that too. And if any, we probably all know what it feels like to eat, really terrible for a day or two, just fast food, vending food, vending machine food and all those kind of things, and you feel different. You're mild headache, you're achy, your muscles hurt, your joints hurt, you're not thinking as quickly. That's the immune system being overinflamed, and so we're more vulnerable to infections and problems when we don't eat right.
Let's avoid the gas station sushi.
Yeah, well, that doesn't sound good to me at all. But you're right; that would not be a hard one. But yeah, those are the kind of things that we need to do. And of course, maintaining a healthy weight is important because the more obese we come and the more fat we have, the more inflammatory that is on our body. We can actually measure the inflammatory markers that are coursing through our blood as a sign of overinflammation. When we get inflamed like this, the immune system is compromised. So, people say, well, what can I take from the health food store to boost my immune system? Well, you think of all those different things that protect us, including not being overweight, and then you're looking at maybe vitamin C, which I recommend. But if you're taking vitamin C and you're smoking and you're drinking and you're overweight, that's just like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. So I always emphasize that supplements supplement a healthy lifestyle. They don't substitute for a healthy lifestyle. Yeah. But there's one other important part of the immune system that I want to mention, because I see this all the time in the office. And I think this also applies to COVID-19, the virus, and that is viral load. If I'm in the office and somebody sneezes or coughs and I'm 6 feet away, those droplets, I might inhale a few of those droplets. But if I'm right in their face, boy, I'm going to get a lot of that virus. That's a viral load. And if my immune system is not fully functional, I'm going to be susceptible to getting that cold or that infection. The same thing with strep throat. Strep throat is a bacterial infection, right? It affects the throat and the tonsils. Well, if you have someone in the family that has strep throat and they're on the tail end of this, meaning the immune system is killing those bacteria, there's not much bacteria left, and you eat or drink after this person, share a spoon or you share a glass, a drink with them, you're not as likely to get infected with bacteria, because the bacterial load is less, right? Because they're in the recovery phase. Whereas when they're first sick and they're awful, it's the same thing. And the same thing with COVID. And just because you're in the same room with somebody with COVID, maybe they're asymptomatic. If they're asymptomatic, their viral load is probably going to be pretty low, right? So if they have a few viruses in their respiratory tract and they cough it out, and you breathe in a few of those viruses and your immune system is intact, you're probably not going to get it.
Right.
But if they're really sick from it and you have a compromised immune system, then you're more vulnerable to it, right? So that's called the viral or the bacterial load. How many pathogens are you exposed to? And it's highly variable, and it's hard to really quantitate. But I just want to emphasize that, because that also, if it's a relatively low amount of pathogen load, you're likely with a good immune system to be fine from it and not be sick. We are not these frail, sickly, vulnerable beings on earth. Most of us are capable. We've survived as long as we have, being exposed to all kinds of stuff. Yes. And you think of kids, these poor kids, they always have a cough and a runny nose. They're exposed to everything, and their immune system is kicking into gear, and it's saying, okay, this last week I've been exposed to 100 viruses, 2 or 3 of them are giving me symptoms, and my immune system is knocking the crap out of them, and I'm going to be fine. But then next week it's another set of viruses.
Right.
So it's a cool design. It works. Most of the time, it works great for us. Every now and then, we become vulnerable. But let's do the things to help us have a fully functional immune system by healthy lifestyles.
Take care of your body.
Pretty simple, really, isn't it?
It seems
it's not too complicated. Yeah, take care of your body. Wash your hands. Cover your mouth. Just all those things that you've heard. And don't freak out when you're in the room with somebody that's sick. It doesn't mean you're going to come down with the same thing.
All right. I feel better.
Good.
Thanks so much for being in here today.
You're welcome.
Talking with the Doc, that is Dr. Timothy McKnight here on the BT Morning Show. This morning's Talk with the Doc has been brought to you by Mako's Pharmacy, where they offer their customers and community free assistance with comparing and selecting a plan based on your specific prescription needs. Call Mako's Pharmacy at 740-922-5400.